Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Ben and I am a runner who is an aspiring YouTuber helping to improve runners' health and performance at the same time. So over the last 2 or 3 weeks I have not been on as much, and that's just because my family have been struck with cold and flu, which means that I have been looking after myself as best as I can, because currently I'm around 2 weeks away from my next race. And I just thought it would be a good time to talk about something that I've needed to do to make sure that I don't get ill, especially having a 2-year-old who seems to be like a petri dish of, you could say, of illnesses right now. So making sure that I'm looking after myself so I'm still able to train. And the topic of the day is going to be talking about recovery. Something that we tend to neglect when it comes to being a runner, because life gets in the way and we don't feel like it's that important. When in fact, in my eyes, it is probably the most important part of your training. And if you're not too sure what I mean here, let me explain why. So what is the big deal about recovery? Essentially what recovery is it allows the body to heal and recover after training. And it's not about how much training you do, it's always about how well you can recover. Unfortunately, we feel like we've got to push ourselves harder and harder to get our goals, when in fact it probably should be focused on the opposite. You know, resting, recovering, and in particular active recovery is fantastic to help to optimize performance and health. In particular, the focus, I always go back to this, is to improve your health first, then your performance. So when we train, we turn our bodies into a catabolic state, which just means that the body breaks down. So every time you're going for a run, every time you're lifting weights, doing any core work, we are essentially ripping the muscle. And what we need to do is immediately after the training is to allow our body to heal and recover. If we don't, we get into a deficit. If we get into a deficit, then that's when problems start to happen later down the line. So this can be decreases in performance, can be decrease in energy levels, it can be increased body fat, in particular adipose tissue. It can be the increase in the likelihood of getting injured, so pulls, tears. It can be getting sick more often because your immune system is affected, and it can also affect our libido as well. So there's so many different areas where if you're not recovering enough, can have serious health effects. How do you know if you've got the rest to exercise ratio correct? A couple of things are, when you first wake up, you'll find that you will naturally be more energized. So if you're waking up and you're struggling to get out of bed, that's probably one sign that's it. Your body's saying it needs longer to recover, or you need to sleep better. Second thing is that you find that when you're training, you are feeling more motivated during your training sessions. If you feel like it's a constant struggle and you're battling against each session, it might be that you are training a little bit too much and not giving your body enough time to recover. You might find that you're struggling to maintain your tempos or running your faster speeds. Then my suggestion would be straight away, slow down, go for a walk. Your body's saying it needs more time to recover. If you're getting sick, as I mentioned before, if you're constantly getting that like a cold, or you just feel like you're bunged up, another sign that the body is struggling to perform as well. So if we listen to your body, the body tends to tell you if it's in a happy balance or if it's not. What we tend to do is we ignore what our body's telling us, because we tend to be slaves to the plan when it comes to our running plan in particular. And that's probably my first bit of advice. If you need to take a rest day, take a rest day. It can be, instead of going for an hour run, it might be you just go for a half an hour walk. You are still going to be getting an aerobic benefit, and you're giving your body more time to heal. That is the key point here. I cannot stress it enough. If you heal, you will improve. If you don't heal, you will get worse. Right now, there is a lot of noise about recovery stuff. You know, I'm seeing so many things, and some tend to be sales gimmicks, some actually work. But what I tend to do is I tend to focus on the true and tested. And in particular, there are sleep, nutrition and hydration, and movement. They're the 3 main ones that I focus on. Anything else is an additional bonus. So sleep, the first one. Sleep is like a super drug. If we could actually have it in pill form, I guarantee it would be the most used supplement on the planet. When we sleep, we turn our bodies more anabolic, which just means it builds back up. So if you're not getting enough sleep straight away, That's a surefire way of showing that you're going to be in a deficit later on in your training cycle, or however long when it comes to your running journey that will be. So making sure that you're creating a bedtime routine, and I talk about this so many times with my clients. When we're kids, we are given a routine when it comes to, we'll have dinner, usually have a bath, read some stories, and then go to bed. As soon as we turn to adults, we tend to neglect that, and the quality of our sleep decreases, which means our body doesn't heal the way it should do. So straight away, if you are running, and depending on how many hours you are running a week, will determine how much sleep that you need to have. But in between 7 to 9 hours, I mean, if you're female as well, females tend to need to sleep a little bit longer. And if you are struggling to do that because of shift work, then I would suggest having naps in the middle of the day if possible. But ideally, you want to be trying to get the majority of sleep at nighttime. Nourishment and replacing fluids is a fantastic way to help the body recover from sessions. If you want to think of it, straight after you've done some exercise, you've ripped the muscle, it's already inflamed and the body's needing to recover. So the last thing you want to be doing is eating artificial foods or foods which are going to cause even more inflammation. One of the reasons why I am whole food plant-based is because I find that more natural foods tend to decrease inflammation and it speeds up the recovery process. In particular, one of my most favorite things to do after a run is to have a smoothie which has a little bit of turmeric and black pepper in, and that's going to help to decrease the inflammation or speed that process up. So I'll do that, and I'll make sure I'm eating good sources of protein, natural sources of protein as well, with carbohydrates. So something after a run in particular for me might be a protein shake where I've put some fruits and vegetables in there. Occasionally I may throw some chocolate milk in as well if I just wanted to be a little bit sweeter, and I'll just mix that all together and just chug one of them down straight after a run. Great way to recover, very easy to do. However, it's winter here right now, so what I'll do is I'll eat some oats or something like that. I'll make baked oats, and it's going to be something that's going to be really warming but really nutritionally dense, and it's going to keep me fuller for longer. As I mentioned before, hydration, often something that we fail to do in our day-to-day life, especially when it gets cooler. So when you're running, you dehydrate. When you dehydrate, that can lower blood pressure. That can also increase the likelihood of getting colds as well, and heat stress depending on where you are at the time of the year. So making sure that you do have some sort of electrolytes. If you don't want to have an electrolyte, put a little bit of salt in your water, and you'll find that that can help to replace the minerals that you lose when you are sweating. The next option is movement. So what runners have turned into is becoming actively inactive. And what I mean by that is we go for a run and then that's it. We'll sit down for the rest of the day and we literally turn into vegetables. The only thing that we'll do is run, where really the body's designed to move as much as we can during the day. And what you're doing when you're moving, you're actively helping to flush out lactic acid. You are allowing the body to heal as well, especially if it's kind of a low aerobic state training. And what that's going to do, it's going to help you make you feel more rejuvenated. And if you add some stretching or some sitting down on the floor, it's also going to help to strengthen some muscles as well. But it's not going to be so intense that it's going to cause more tear in the muscles. If anything, it's going to help to improve the length of the muscles, because when we're running, everything gets quite tight, so we need to release it. However, I wouldn't suggest that you do a big stretching session straight after a run. What I would suggest is maybe a couple of minutes doing some basic stretches, then later on in the day to do more of sitting down holding stretches, because the body would be more relaxed. If you do it straight after the training, you're probably increasing the likelihood of tearing a muscle. So doing some natural movement, going for a walk as well, really good to do after a run, especially if a high intensity run. It'll help flush out, as I mentioned before, the lactic acid, and you will find that you will feel better if you're doing these little movement rates here and there. Also going barefoot as often as you can outside, or even standing on something called a Shakti mat. I'll just show you mine now. As we're filming, I'm standing on it because I've been for a run this morning. Really good form of acupressure, and it just helps to increase the blood flow to my feet. So using that, using a foam roller as well, and that connects into the next one, which is kind of the therapeutic devices that you can use. So a foam roller, spiky balls, or even getting a deep tissue massage, or just a normal massage, doesn't have to be deep tissue. It's going to help when it comes to speed and recovery, because you're helping to flush all that unwanted toxins out of the muscles, and it's going to speed up the process. Other things can be having an ice bath, having a sauna. However, as I say, there are studies that show that benefits and there's negative sides of this. So depending on what you want to do, up to you. However, I have decided to stick to the methods that have been clinically proven to help improve performance. And yet again, I'll go over them again. Sleep, nourishment and hydration, and movement. If you can put these in and incorporate these in, just as important as the running itself, you will find performance will improve or will stay consistent. Your ability to underperform decreases. You will boost your immune system, which is what we want, and you will find you will have more energy to train whenever you need to. Occasionally though, life throws us curveballs, and this is where I like to ask myself each morning, and I mean, I have a Whoop to kind of show how stressed my body is, but if I didn't have this, what I would do is first thing in the morning, before I go for a run, because I like to run first thing, would be, have I had enough rest to train? If I feel like the answer is no, and deep down we know when we are trying to push it and we're ignoring the body, then I will decrease the amount that I run. So I may still go for a run, but instead of running for an hour, I might run for half an hour and then spend 30 minutes walking. Or it might just be that I'll just take an active recovery day. By doing that, I'm allowing to improve my longevity in the sport, I'm improving my health, and as a kind of a consequence, I'm improving performance. So that is the video there. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment section below. I'll be more than happy to answer them. And what I'm going to do for my next video is I'm going to start showing you some floor positions that you can do as part of the recovery when it comes to natural movement. So these are known as archetypal postures, and postures that we should be sitting in when it comes to helping to release all them areas that get tight when you are a runner or pretty much from day-to-day life. So if you're keen on that, let me know. But apart from that, look after yourselves, take care, and make sure that you put in recovery as your number one priority when it comes to your training. And take care of yourselves.